There's something a little bit different about this new iPhone, and I'm actually really pleased I've got it because it has a bit of a, almost a sweet smell of success about it. So terrible tech puns aside, hi guys, my name is Tom and I'm the Tech Chap, and welcome to my unboxing and first impressions video for the brand new iPhone 6s. This is the silver 16GB model, and let's not waste any more time, let's just get straight into it and see what's going on inside. So if we carefully open the box, because I'm sure people have seen the videos where people pull this off too fast and the iPhone falls on the floor, and that looks good there. So here we are, the brand new iPhone 6s. Doesn't look obviously much different as we expected, but that's fine. So let's put the iPhone to one side for a moment and see what else is going on in the box. If you've ever bought an iPhone before, you'll know what's going on here. You've got the Apple earbuds, 3-prong plug, and the cable underneath that as well. And I'm sure we may have some papers underneath the bottom there. So let's put the packaging aside. We don't really care about that. Obviously what we're here to see is the new iPhone. So if we put these to one side and then we have a look at the new device. So the new iPhone 6s is a little bit thicker and actually a little bit heavier than the iPhone 6. I do have the iPhone 6 here, so if we put them side by side, this isn't a particularly scientific test, but you can see it's really not noticeable at all. There may be a point, something of a mil thicker, but it's not really noticeable. What is a bit more noticeable though is it feels heavier. It does feel a bit chunkier, a bit more dense. It's not necessarily a bad feeling. It feels a little bit more comfortable in your hand. It feels very, very similar. Obviously, it looks pretty much identical. So side by side, you're not really going to notice the difference on looks alone, but you can feel the extra weight a little bit. But let's get to the best part of any new phone, and that's peeling off in a very satisfying way the sort of plastic cover. So let's get that off and then we can have a look at the screen properly. Right, so that's gone. So I will fast forward this bit for you guys. We don't want to, you don't want to see me going through options menus, so I'll be right back. So here it is, the iPhone 6s. I've set up the Touch ID, I've put my SIM card in, and we're all set up and good to go. So what is new with the iPhone 6s? Well, inside we've got a new A9 processor and 2GB of RAM, which should make everything a little bit quicker, and as well as coming obviously pre-installed with iOS 9. This should be the fastest and smoothest and hopefully most responsive iPhone ever. I'll be doing a full speed comparison in a future video. Obviously this one is full of stuff and this one is brand new, so this isn't a fair comparison right now, but on the face of it, obviously iPhones are very smooth generally. The iPhone 6 is a very powerful device itself, and they both have iOS 9, so everything is nice and smooth and responsive. So you can't really tell from the face of it. I think those 2GB of RAM will come in handy for extra multitasking, for flipping between apps more quickly, and also the benchmarks so far do show that this is quite a bit faster, and therefore in intensive games, and if you've got loads of apps going on in the background, it'll be quite useful for that. But first impressions are, well, it's more of the same. iOS 9, it was a nice update. It wasn't exactly revolutionary, and neither is the 6s. We have an improved Touch ID, which should make it, which apparently is about twice as fast as the one on the iPhone 6. So let's try it. In fact, there you are. In fact, it did it right there. So I'm barely touching it, and I think that's a little bit quicker. I think. Well, it's certainly extremely quick. We'll have to do see how much quicker it is in a side-by-side test another time, but that's extremely quick. So the Touch ID has been improved. So as well as the new internal hardware, we've got a 12 megapixel 4K camera on the back, which should provide some really nice crisp pictures and high-res video. But the problem is, this is the 16GB model, which is still the base option, costs £539 or $649. Now, I always recommend going for the 64GB option, but this is more highly recommended than ever before. If you're going to use the live photo feature, which takes a few seconds of video outside of a photo, if you're going to film much in 4K, you're going to want the bigger storage capacity because it's going to fill up in no time along with your apps. It's a real shame that Apple doesn't make a 32GB option the base. It is a bit stingy in my opinion, keeping the 16 one as the entry level, which most people will buy. So I would highly recommend getting the 64GB option, because this is, in fact, let's see how much we have on here. This is a freshly booted up phone. I haven't installed anything on it. So let's see how much storage we have out of the gate. 10.7 gigabytes. That's not too bad, but As soon as you put a few apps on there, which do take a few hundred megabytes each, in fact some games are often a gigabyte or maybe more, so 10.7, and this is the 16 gig option. So I would really highly recommend, if you are going to buy a 6S, get the 64 one. You'll regret it otherwise. I know it is a bit more money, but you'll be struggling and rationing your apps the whole time you use it. So let's have a quick look at the camera. The UI is obviously the same as yours if you're on iOS 9 yourself. Well, obviously the difference we'll see is when we get to the 4K videos and the high res 12 megapixel stills. So one of the key new features is the 3D touch. So I haven't tried this yet, but let's give it a go. If I deep press on one of these apps, hopefully I'll get a sort of middle mouse button click sort of option of features. So let's do that. Let's hold it down, and there we are. There we have it. So holding it on the Mail app gives you options to quickly access the inbox, VIP, search, or make a new message. So let's see how much faster that would be. Let's say I want to send an email, and I want to send a new message. Let's do that. Force touch, 3D touch even, and you're straight into a new message. That's quite cool, actually. So let's try it on, say, the App Store. Not much happens there. Okay, so you can see nothing really happens if you force. Okay, so it works on some apps from the home screen, but not all. Nothing happens for the App Store, but you can search. You can search books. You can add new reminders. Nothing happens for video. Maps has got a few things, directions, etc. And messages. You can send a new message. I'll read the most recent one. So it appears some apps do have a 3D touch sort of option, others don't. You're going to have to sort of trial by error, nothing there for settings, but I'm sure you'll get used to it. But it's quite cool. The one thing I'm noticing straight away is it's a little bit easy to start sort of moving the screen as you press your finger on it to do a 3D touch. So you do have to be a little bit careful not pushing the screen and then trying it, because it won't work. The screen has to be completely still in order to do it. But that's pretty neat. I'm looking forward to trying that more. And of course we do have the live photos as well, which is something I'll look into when I look at the camera in the full review. But this has just been a quick unboxing and first impressions. So far it is obviously what you expect. It's the 6S, nothing night and day difference, but hopefully when we get down to the intense apps and games, we'll notice a bit of a speed boost. And also that camera, I'm looking forward to checking out some of its stills and also 4K video. So that will about do it for now. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Do stay tuned and subscribe to the Tech Chat, because I'll have a full review coming in a couple of days, and also I'll have comparison videos between the 6 and the 6S, and we'll have a good look at that camera as well. So thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers, guys.